Blockchain buzz lights up the sky. AI moves slick, too quick to deny. On a cloud stacking coins so high. State.COTI.io, we fly. From coast to coast, around the globe. AI agents in control of the code. Why not us? Vibe code with us. Crypto kings, we build in trust. Hustle, never need a rest. Every smart chain locked in the quest. Digits and dreams, we beat the test. State.COTI.io, the best. From coast to coast, around the globe. AI agents in control of the code. Why not us? Vibe code with us. Crypto kings, we build in trust. Zeros and ones, building the hive. AI sync, we keep it alive. Data streams like rivers, we dive. State.COTI.io, we thrive. From coast to coast, around the globe. AI agents in control of the code. Why not us? Vibe code with us. Crypto kings, we build in trust.
Welcome everyone for episode 21 of season 2 COTI Confidential on this Father's Day, June 15th, 2025. Welcome, Soren. How's it going, man?
It's going all right, Teresa. Happy Father's Day, mate.
Yeah, and I can't help but say, I don't know what to say right now, but as we sit here in safety and talk about this week's events, can't help but think about what's happening in the Middle East right now and our thoughts. And if you do pray, or I'm sure with the team, there are real people behind both sides of this thing. And so there's not a moment that goes by that we're not thinking about that. I don't know if you wanted to say something too, Soren, before we jump in here, but...
Absolutely. Thoughts and prayers to the whole COTI team, their families and their friends. And in general, this is not what anyone wants to see. So, I'm on the side of let's hope we find a peaceful conclusion to all of this sooner rather than later. Yeah. So we can get back to doing what we all prefer to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going to happen next week with the AMA with Shahaf and team, but from us, we all know, and we hope everybody understands that right now it's very important to clear the air on some of these things, but we have time and it'll happen when it happens. And, there's not going to be any pressure from us to get it done tomorrow. So we don't know anything. Like, it's not like it's been delayed or anything else like that, but I'm sure that everybody will understand if you've seen some of the videos and stuff that's happening directly in Tel Aviv, where headquarters is. I think we'd all understand that, there might be a little bit of a time delay there. And
yeah, knowing Shahaf, he'll not make a decision on this until the last minute. So it's also I know he wants to do it. So if there's any way he can do it, he will. But he can't be running in and out of bomb shelters and everything else while doing this. This is obvious. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that pans out. We will cover this a little bit in our weekly update, so we can jump straight into that. Because of all these things, it's been actually a relatively quiet week in the COTIverse. Probably as quiet as we're ever going to see it. Doesn't mean that we didn't have anything going on. We had plenty. But relatively speaking, it was obviously a little bit of a quiet one. Top spot this week goes to the very, very interesting actually partnership announcement with CrossMint. Now on the surface of it, CrossMint is built as a very powerful addition to our stay.coti.io initiative, our no-code vibe code initiative, and they're obviously perfect for that. I've had a little bit of a look at them, not too much yet, but they're doing some very clever stuff. And if you see the post on X, you can see one of the AI agent thingies that they do. And this is actual stuff that they're doing with AI agents, as opposed to promoting AI agents that don't do much, which I think we'll cover a little bit later as well. So they do have quite an impressive track record, which is the other side of the partnership with them. They've done blockchain integrations with Microsoft, with MasterCard, with Etihad Airways out of Abu Dhabi, and they just earlier this year concluded a $23 million fundraise. So what they do is they offer you the tools to build basically wallets, payment infrastructure, and AI agents. It's all in the commercial realm. So it's wallets, it's payment, it's AI agents that will trade for you, that will shop for you. The video I included on the post is basically somebody's personal AI agent, where you tell the AI agent, I want a shaver, I want to give a gift for Father's Day, and it comes up with 3 options for shavers, and you just say, I want the second one, and it orders it for you. So, fairly simple, but if you then add wallets and all sorts of other things on top of this, and it can pay automatically with your MasterCard or your American Express or whatever it may be, this now starts to become interesting, because CrossMint can now offer their clients that whole suite of financial products, financial blockchain products, and they can now add, which is a completely natural thing to be able to add, which is the privacy element for transactions. They can now seamlessly integrate that into their product suite. And that, again, is one of these things that just proliferates garbled circuits a little bit more. So this is super, super interesting. And I think when we look back a little bit further down the road, be it 6 months or 12 months down the road, when we start looking back at what were the game-changing events on our road to adoption and proliferation, I think this might be one of them that we will look back on and say, oh, that was actually a very good one. So yeah, so back to the AMA that we just talked about. So Shahaf has basically announced that he'll be available for a no-holds-barred AMA. So we have been collecting questions all week. And of course, with so many things happening in our ecosystem, and we're growing, all the things we've done just in the few months since we launched, everything. Some things have gone well, and some things have gone a little less well. So of course, the community has a whole bunch of questions about all sorts of things. So we've been collating all these questions onto a very long list that's been given to Shahaf. The main topics out of all the questions are questions around removal of geofencing, super important. Nodes ecosystem, we're all very, very excited about that. New roadmap, I think it's not top of the list. I think the existing roadmap probably takes us into the end of this year, but I'm sure Shahaf will have much more information on that, and he probably has a new roadmap, if not completed, then well underway. Integration updates, of course, we want to know about Axelar, MetaMask Snap, Plume, all these good ones. We want to know where we are with the integration of those. Tokenomics, hot topic, always a hot topic. And it'll be good to hear Shahaf give us a proper detailed lowdown on the tokenomics, but on a layman's level. So on a level that we can all sort of understand and see the logic behind. And then last but not least, CBDC updates. People are looking for updates, probably especially around the European Central Bank, because we know that's been, at least we know that the European Central Bank has the intention to fast track this. And there's many, many more. I think that the number of questions, the last I looked at that list, was up to about 70. So, and I think this is important because communication was always an important part, yeah, but never more so than now, because COTI V2 is a completely different level than what we were used to with V1. Yeah, there's so much going on. There's so many moving parts in COTI V2, and therefore the need to keep the community informed of new developments and informing the community. The amount of questions coming back is all being blown up. Yeah, it's bigger than ever because what we're building and what we're doing is bigger than ever. So, and I think, I'm actually very grateful that we have a guy like Shahaf in charge of the product and the project, because Shahaf and the wider COTI network team, they've always had this mantra, community first. So having these AMAs, having the cognizance of what's going on in the community and listening to the community has never been a stranger to them. So last but not least, I just want to do a quick hat tip to Cody Ship, who did a great, really, really good podcast / AMA with BitTrue earlier this week. From being in the ambassadors group, I've seen, and I'm not allowed to call him Brad. His name is Ship. So I've seen Ship firsthand grow into the role of business development for COTI, which was quite a big step for him to take. And when I see him deliver the way he delivered this week, that just delights me, because I know he's gonna be an amazing business development director for us. Yeah, I couldn't think of a better person to drive forward the COTI vision. So big hat tip to him, and it'll get even better. Just wait.
I told Ship that I thought his little intro about garbled circuits in V2 was beautiful, and that I was gonna plagiarize the hell out of it. So I did get a little bit of breaking news. That's not really that surprising, but I do have from an upper executive level confirmation that the AMA with Shahaf is not going to happen tomorrow. And I think, of course, we all knew that was coming, and we all understand that. And again, we just hope that everybody on all sides of this whole thing, I'm not sure what to say. I never am sure what to say, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, and the questions are the same, and the concerns and everything from the community, it needs to be addressed, but that can wait until our friends on the ground in Israel are safe to move around, and safe enough that they can go about their daily business. Their safety is far more important than any of this. So
I know we always talk about, how 95, 99% of the people are here for number go up, and we understand that. And I'm always talking about the passive income and stuff, but some of the relationships that we have curated over the years with community and team are really important to a lot of us. So this is the first time in my life, in my living life, where I have living people who are part of my life who are affected in ways like this. And so it's not that we don't think about these things. It's happening all over the world, and there's a lot of crap going on, but it hits home a little bit differently when it's people who you talk to on a regular basis. So our thoughts are with the real human people behind this, and we all hope that they all stay safe.
No, absolutely, absolutely. This is real people, and they're in a war zone, for lack of a better description. So we wish them all the safety, all the good health. And hope that everything clears up quickly. Have we
Yeah.
got anyone? Have we got some of character here today? Is he lurking
Did you
anywhere?
post the link? So
Yeah, no, he knows.
as
He knows we're going live.
okay, so as I always say, if you haven't joined our Telegram yet, please do. It's a cool place to hang out and talk. We do allow price chatter. The only thing that we kind of, shy away from is when things get divisively political or when we have forms of verbal abuse and stuff going on. So other than that, it is somewhat of a no holds barred type communication group. So I did just drop the link in there on our Telegram channel. So if you'd like to pop in and say something or offer words of support or talk about some of the questions that you're asking or that you're looking forward to hear about in the next week or so, not sure when it's going to happen, but they do agree that it needs to happen right away. Being what it is, we'll see when it happens.
Yeah, and it was clear from Shahaf's own statement that he's also perfectly aware that there's been a few issues, things like mobile access and things like that. So, but you launch a beast like this. There's going to be a little bit of bumpiness in the beginning. Would all much rather be without it, to be honest. But I think so far it's been going reasonably well. So
yeah,
and I think
I'm happy.
the issues. Yeah, go on.
No, I'm saying I'm happy where we are. I think I think I've said this over and over, live on stream and in some of the groups, but I think some people may have had a bit of an irrealistic, hope for adoption in the first, we'll call it in the first quarter, right, or the first 3 months of the project. And I think we're kind of in a spot where if I was to poke holes in things, I wouldn't be poking holes at the adoption. I would be poking holes at things like, yes, the Treasury should have worked better, little things like that. The communication about, getting an ST tag on COTI and MAXC and stuff. It's just and I do understand, right? There is a lot of things to communicate. And if you don't do it efficiently, how you manage your communication, some of the bigger news items aren't going to get the proliferation that you want. So it's a lot of people, it's very easy to criticize marketing, but it's very difficult to actually do it. So, we all have our criticisms and I get that, but coming up with the solution is not easy. But I do love what you said about in your update. It is very true that I don't know of another, we'll call it business at this point, that listens to their community more and that will absolutely pivot or retract decisions that they had put into process and launched and released and actually retract and go back on them. So it's very interesting.
No, absolutely. And I think you're making the perfect point. It's very easy to point out all the little flaws. Yeah. It's far more difficult to solve them and to have the perfect solution ready. Yeah. It's easy to say, when are we getting more marketing? Yeah. Now, unless you're a marketing executive with 10, 15 years of experience, you don't have the answer to that question yourself either. So I'm always careful about. I know that I got loads of little things that I want to improve with a project. Yeah. But I'm always very careful that if I don't have a solution to what I'm moaning about, then I don't moan in the first place. Because it's just not this is my personal way of doing it. I like to try and think about a solution. It may not be the right solution, maybe the completely wrong one, but at least, have a think about a solution. Yeah.
I think that a lot of people in crypto generally have a strange view of what marketing is. And I don't think they realize what type of marketing is illegal, especially when you're talking about securities and crypto, et cetera, right? So I think that a lot of people just want marketing that will make number go up. And it's not like you can just go out there and put up a billboard that says, buy this. You can't do that, right? It's not like it's not that easy, and it's not funny, but it's just sometimes they have such a simplistic view. But like, we need more marketing. It's not even better marketing. They just say we need more of it, and it's like, more of what? Like, which part do you want more of, right? And I will say, like, when I've been pressed as a community member and as an advocate for the ecosystem by the team, like, well, what do you think? And I will tell you what I said was, I think that, maybe, and it's not usually a corporate way of dealing with things, but I think what we really want is honesty. When something's late, tell us. When something doesn't work like we expected it to, admit it. Tell us what's going on, And you can plug in a whole bunch of things from V1 to that same statement, and it's just like, we understand that sometimes you don't get what you were looking for, or it just doesn't pan out how you want it to. All we want is somebody to go, yeah, we could have done better there, or we need to fix this. It wasn't right. That's all we want, right?
And
that's all I want.
Yeah. And this becomes exponentially more critical when you're dealing with a huge beast like what V2 is compared with V1. Yeah, V1 was a little puppy. V2 is a full-blown Grand Danois. It's a completely. There's so many more moving parts and so many more things for people to go and poke holes in and say, this is not working, that's not working. Bridge this, exchange that. There's so much more. So yes, you're absolutely spot on. And I saw there was a comment in from some of character in his usual calm fashion, save the marketing for a better environment. And by that, I'm sure he means a better sentiment, a better market environment. And he's absolutely right. And the funny thing was, people always talk about we should have more influencer accounts pushing COTI. There was an 850,000 follower account that started pushing COTI earlier this week. And the first thing I see on Telegram group is, these key influencers, they're all scammers. You can't win them. And I do want to say with the adoption, Paul is in the room. Welcome, Paul. I do want to say with the adoption, and I had this discussion with Paul today. I'm going to give him the answer now. Yeah, if you look at the total ecosystem map for COTI, take away the two central banks, but look at the rest of it. And assume an adoption rate of about 10%, which in some cases may be a little bit too high, in other cases may be a little bit too low. But assume a 10% adoption case. Then COTI, when we have integrated everything that's on the current ecosystem map, we've integrated between 3 to 5.5 million new users. That's the ecosystem map, the way it looks today.
So here's
whether this is in some people's mind that's great adoption, in other people's minds maybe terrible adoption, but that's the number. That's the approximate number, 3 to 5.5 million. Yeah. For those who are interested in knowing, so it's not like there's no adoption. It's just it takes time for these things to actually filter through.
I'll be honest, like, this is one of the questions that I'm looking forward to the most. And it's not because it's a question that I want to know what happened and that I think it's a failure or whatever. It's that we had a lot of communication about it beforehand, and then we didn't. And so, like, I get it, guys. Everybody wants to hear that. And I know that sometimes it's not, in marketing's best interest to look back. But I think it's important for us to have a clear and concise, message from Shahaf or the team on this. And this is the one PPN specifically that you guys are talking about. And I get it. So that it doesn't keep coming up for 2 years. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? Now we have a clear and concise answer for us to point people to. It's like, look, this is what happens. This is how it was addressed. Now let's move on. And that's kind of what this AMA is all about. It's about clearing the air and looking forward to what's coming next. And you saw it in Shahaf's statement, and I don't have it in front of me, but you know, this is too big for us to muck it up, basically, is what he said. And I think, do you have it here?
Yeah, it's too big to drop the ball.
Yeah.
Too important to drop the ball. Now, you're talking about the PPN. This is a very interesting one because paradoxically, the thing that was missing with the PPNs, and these are words out of Shahaf's own mouth, the thing that was missing to actually go big on the PPNs was privacy. Yeah, that was the big hurdle that stopped them from doing more with the PPNs. Now they got privacy, and they're finding out that privacy is actually so big on its own that they don't have the time or the resource to deal with PPNs. That's also come out of Shahaf's mouth. He's basically said, listen, we're going to have to park the PPNs. Somebody else wants to do it, fine. Maybe at a later stage, we will have opportunities to do it. I mean, of course, COTI has the blueprints for how to set up the PPNs. They have the stablecoin blueprints. They have everything they need. But the privacy, the whole privacy issue on its own is so big that there's simply no time for PP. And I think Shahaf's pretty much clarified that. But by all means, let's get him on the air and clarify it again once and for all. Yeah. And I'm like you. I don't want to see people, you know, it mildly annoys me when people start litigating the past. The PPN is there running every day. You can go check it on chain. Yeah. It's I'm sure, I haven't checked it for 6 months, but I'm sure it's moving on slowly. And I know that the DPINR team keep teasing that they're building something new, but nothing ever comes of it.
So, and as much as some people want to hear that, you know, admission or whatever about what happened with the PPN, for me, it's the follow-up questions that I'm looking most forward to. And yeah, Ziga, exactly. This is what, you know, before we even had a communication from Shahaf on this, it's like, well, I assumed that, you know, as COTI Pay business was rolling out and PPNs were rolling out, what they kept banging their head against the wall is like, okay, well, how do we offer these merchants and these enterprises the security of private transactions if everything is publicly legible, right? So I think that's, you know, I think that is part of the catalyst to this pivot to V2. And I think the writing's on the wall there, right? So my questions are going to be after we talk about PPN. So like, is COTI Pay business still going to be part of the BD plan with V2? And are PPNs, you know, like, is this one still going to be a thing? Is this, you know, so I think the follow-up questions are going to be interesting there. Right now, privacy is the narrative, and I get it. And we want people adopting garbled circuits and privacy on demand. But once that starts cooking, if you look at, and this all comes back to tokenomics and fees and everything, it's like, well, if you look at it now and the fee structure, you got to think, well, they must be looking at this from every single angle. And if, as Soren and I, you know, try to shake this all down, it's like they want hundreds of millions, billions of transactions. Like, is that the goal? You know, so this AMA is going to be huge. Like Soren said, there's 70 questions that have been queued as being asked by the community and aggregated together. So this is going to be a huge moment for us. And I think, you know, I hate to say it, but this is probably the most important community event that COTI will have ever faced since their ICO or IDO. So it's going to be huge. And I think trying to cram this in on Monday with everything going on in the Middle East is a bad idea, you know? And I think, you know, Shahaf coming into Telegram and opening up the questions to everybody was kind of like, this is huge. And so I'm really, really looking forward to this. a lot of people are saying, well, it's just going to be the questions they want to answer, and they're not going to answer the questions they don't want to answer. That's not the impression I get, guys. I think this is it. I think this is okay, here we are, we're moving forward, and it's going to really be clearing the air. And I think personally, that's what needs to happen. And I may have been the person that said we got to do this. So it's unfortunate what's happening right now.
Not me. You were.
Yeah. But this is going to be huge for us. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I don't think we're going to be backing down from the hard questions. It just reminds me, and I'll let you go in a minute, Soren, but it just reminds me about 2 years ago. Shahaf was getting busy doing spaces, and we were talking a lot about the launch of Jed there, because it was getting a lot of, we'll call it press, because Cardano is huge, whether you love or hate them. Jed was a hot topic. And so Shahaf was getting ready to go on Cardano over coffee. And there are some very boisterous, at that time, very boisterous people in that room. And so they do this banter thing for 30 minutes before they have their guest. And one of the guy comes on, and I'm listening, right? And one of the guys comes on, and he's like, so were we fudding Jed today? And so I'm like, okay. So I jump in the room and I start talking. And what Shahaf said about that, it was, and this is what I try to always remember. He said, "We fear no man, sir," is how he, prefaced that conversation, because it looked like he was heading into a wild room. And so I think that philosophy is going to be put forward with this group of questions. And that's what I expect. And that's what I'm holding out for. So anyways.
No, absolutely. And you touched upon a couple of interesting things there. And let's take the tokenomics. The tokenomics are actually very well explained in the white paper. Yeah. But you need to do a lot of extra research, and you need to be you almost need to be a little bit of an expert on tokenomics. You need to have dealt with this issue before. Yeah. And a whole bunch of members in the community haven't. So, and that's why we keep getting this. Well, why do we need to pump in all these extra tokens all the time? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Prices are going down. We're pumping in tokens, and you're right. You're looking at it from the outside. It looks all wrong. Yeah, but go back and look. Go back and think first. What were we with V1? We were thousands of transactions a day at a transaction fee of around 2 COTI. And we've now transitioned. We got a vision that, amongst many, many, many other things, say we got to do hundreds of millions, billions of transactions, and we're only going to charge you 0.00009 COTI. Yeah. So once we get to billions of transactions per day, we don't need to print tokens. We've got plenty of revenue coming in. But between now and then, we have a whole ecosystem to build. We got to build a nodes system. We got to get community treasuries and everything else built. And the current level of activity on the chain brings in about 8 COTI a day. Yeah. So of course there's not enough to pay Tracer to run a node. There's not enough to pay me my staking rewards, or anyone else their staking rewards. So tokenomics is very much about, we're going from V1 to V2. There's a vision. We can't build the vision, unless you assume that we're going to go from V1 to the end product of V2 in a day. You can't build that vision without the extra tokens. Simple as that. You got to be able to pay node operators and stakers and everything an appropriate dollar value for what they provide to the ecosystem. And in this case, so that's extra tokens. So if you had left the supply uncapped or capped, at 2 billion, we wouldn't get all that stuff. So there is no vision. There is no ecosystem development. So, and I want Shahaf, but I want Shahaf to give his version of it. This is mine, and I could be wrong on half of it for all I know. But that's my research and what I have done and looked into it. Yeah. But this is a super important issue, because it's no good me telling people what I think. It needs to come from the horse's mouth. if you like. And Shahaf needs to give us the explanation in layman's terms so that everyone understands why was this necessary.
This and this conversation, like these conversations, always flash me back to the first evening in Bangkok, where kind of everybody was there, and we did our first group, run around, and it ended with us sitting at the table. You remember that night with Daniel, right? Yeah. And you talk about it, how we were like, we had Daniel front and center. We could ask him just anything we wanted. It was really, really cool. And again, I've said this before and I've posted this and I've talked about this, but like, it really was interesting to sit there in front of Daniel. We were talking about nodes, and then, I kind of started pressing him on fees and what the market, of course, like the chain had only been running for a very little amount of time at this point, right? This is basically the mainnet launch party that we're celebrating in Bangkok. And I'm pressing him and I'm going like, man, like nobody is going to ever be able to understand how is this going to work. Like, and I was just like, is this a mistake? Is something wrong? Is something going to change? Like, it's like, did somebody put a decimal in the wrong place? I don't know if you've ever seen, Office Space, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know that part. But it was kind of a joke. And he's sitting there. We're having this great meal. The restaurant's almost closed. We're sitting by the river. Nobody's in the restaurant. We're outside. And this guy is like super casual, super smart, super humble. And he sits there and I think he takes a sip of his drink, or this is how I remember it. And he goes, yeah, that was done by design. And like very confidently, this is what we wanted. This is what we discussed. It's how it was intended. And I'm sitting there going like, how? Like it, so this is when tokenomics come up. It's a valid question. And I think there will be a big tranche of that AMA or whatever we're going to call it, that chat. People are going to want to know about tokenomics, and I think it's fair. So
yeah, I mean, you can, if you have a calculator, you can redo the calculations just in case I say the wrong thing. But as far as I recall, 100 million transactions per day. It's either, I can't remember my decimal points now, but it's either 9 or 90,000 COTI. I think it's 9,000 COTI if I'm honest. Yeah. So this gives you a little bit of a context to the size, not only it gives you a context to the size of the ambition. Yeah, but it also gives you a good context as to why the tokenomics were necessary. Yeah, because without community-run nodes, there is no decentralization. Without decentralization, it's very hard to envisage COTI V2. It's certainly not the vision that the light paper talks about. Yeah, nobody will be interested in staking for 0.01% APY. So all that COTI, all that 500 million or 400 million COTI would go from the treasury into the market and create a massive amount of selling pressure, which would absolutely dump the price. Tokenomics hasn't dumped the price. That's what people think, but it hasn't. Yeah, tokenomics has been known for 2 years. The market's not dumb. They priced all this in a long time ago. Yeah, but without the tokenomics, you have a whole different situation, and there are so many moving parts in that equation, and none of them are very pleasant. So tokenomics was absolutely 100% necessary. But as I said before, so I repeat myself, we need Shahaf to tell us, because it can't just come from me. Who am I? I'm just an interested community member for all. For that particular discussion, this needs to come from a high level.
Yeah. Anything else about the AMA you wanted to bring up before I totally shift gears on you?
No. I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing the questions, and I look forward to clarifying all these things for the community. We've got a super amazing community, and they deserve only the best as far as I'm concerned. So let's go. Once we're ready on the ground in Tel Aviv, we will do it.
Yeah. So I think some people would be kind of confused at why some of us are going so hard after COTI agents, being as they are a confirmed, or we'll say a confirmed, and I'm not insinuating here, I'm just, at one point they were, I don't know where it stands now. This is part of the issue for me. But they were a partner of COTI V2's ecosystem, and they were a grantee of the Momentum Accelerator, right? One thing I've said to people is I don't know, like all of the grants will have, what's the word I'm looking for?
Milestones.
Thank you. Milestones. So I don't know where they got. And, you know, if they did have milestones, everybody else does. Like, we know this. So we don't know where they got. But for me, why would I go so hard on them? Well, here's how it looks to me, okay? They were we'll call them a grantee, for a lack of a better word. They came onto the scene with some pretty good hype, I guess. I always thought that their Telegram numbers looked a bit inflated. That's always a red flag for me. Who knows, right? Once the chart got a little bit crazy, I had people coming to me saying, man, this team's just like putting together so much selling pressure. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's what everybody says, right? So then we had that, and then we had this huge capitulation, we'll call it. It's not surprising in a project like this, okay? So, you know, if you're doing stuff like that, you have to expect it, right? Then we have this compromised contract. Okay. So you got a question here, Soren. So then we have this compromised contract and no real transparency from the team. The communication goes almost dark. We're starting to get maybe a tiny bit of communication from DGenPad, who is doing their relaunch. Then they announced their relaunch on base still. And I could go on and on, but the whole time I'm like, hey guys, why don't you come and address this through the COTI community, who is where you got probably all of your support base from. And just crickets. And it kind of pissed me off. Like, I'll be honest, it pissed me off that I never even got an answer. If you're going to come and say, look, like, it's not in our plan, we don't want to do that, that's fine. But we got nothing from them. No answer, nothing. So this to me is very, very suspicious. So now we have somebody who has been granted use of the namesake, who is the first compromised contract. Now they're going silent. It just doesn't sit well with me. I feel like, you know, as a community member and not speaking as an ambassador, and I'll be honest, like on COTI Confidential, you know, we tag ourselves as ambassadors, but we are never speaking as ambassadors. Like, this is kind of like free will stuff going on here right now, but I just don't think it's right how we were left in the shadows and not being spoken to, especially when, you know, people like Soren and I are going, guys, like, talk to us, like, help us out, throw us a bone here. Soren and I both, I think we both shared the project from our own personal socials, right? So now it's personal for us, right? So on Thursday, we're going to be sitting down and as a community trying to, you know, like, I've been sent a lot of stuff. There's a lot of insinuation on what happened here. So we're hoping that they come and chat with us on Thursday or before Thursday. If not, we're just going to draw our own conclusions. So that's kind of what's going on with COTI agents. And I would encourage all of us to, as V2 matures, and these things will inevitably happen, we should have a bit of a community sense of following up on these things. Will it make a difference? Maybe, maybe not. But, you know, we need to stay on top of it because nobody else will.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And the way that the COTI agents team have behaved has been, I know you don't want to say it, so maybe I will. It's been frankly scandalous. Yeah, and I think it was a huge strategic error, and I think, you know, you may ask Shahaf about it next week or whenever we have the AMA. I think in hindsight, it was not good to let a project with a token, a project with a token attached, with a token launch attached, take the COTI name. Yeah, and just to clear up, we got no issues with the NFT projects with COTI names and all sorts of other things with COTI names. But when you do have a project,
different
Yeah,
story.
totally different. When you have a project that has a token launch, yeah, it's not a good idea to have the code. It's easy for me to say in hindsight, of course, but I think that will be one of the lessons from this. And the way that the COTI agents team have behaved with their communication has been absolutely atrocious. Yeah, we have a lot of COTI. They have a lot of community members that have lost money on it. A lot of those community members are also part of the COTI community. So this has hurt quite a few people. And honestly, I don't give two flying farts about them relaunching back on base and all this. That's great. It's great that they finally communicated. Thank you very much. Now let's get down to the nuts of this. Yeah, bloody do it the right way. Yeah, and come and talk to us. Yeah, if there's one thing we learned, Tracer, and you will agree with me on this, I think, if there's one thing that we've learned in the last 4 or 5 months, is that if you think you make problems go away just by staying silent on them, yeah, I'm sorry, you got a whole other thing coming.
No.
Yeah, if we have learned one thing from the COTI V2 is that we now know how to do this and put a little bit of pressure on. Yeah, the ambassador team has a few advantages, and that is we can organize ourselves a little bit. So when people mess about with us like this, and we see it as this is one of these cases where we think they're messing us about, yeah, we will be calling them out.
Yeah, as a community member and token holder, like, yeah, I'm upset about it, but I mean, like, I knew better, and that project to me was, anyways. But I want to make something clear here, and before we put a pin in this until Thursday, but when I say that I demanded answers from them, I'm not saying this like as Tracer, you guys. I mean, like, we as a community, I don't think that because I'm me that they should answer me because I'm me. I'm talking like we went to them and said, okay, guys, like, we are where your support came from. And if all the selling, and if it looks how it looks, like, you owe us something, right? They took, this is how it looks to me. This is not confirmed, but it looks like they took ecosystem dollars, soft rugged us, and then rugged us. And I'm not scared to say it because I've been offering them a chance to come and clear their name for a month now. And I'd been asking them for an AMA since before the compromised contract happened. So, you know what? I think that's probably enough from us on this. I think.
Yeah, I want to attach a comment to it if it's okay with you, because you mentioned it yourselves that they were a grant recipient. Now, I have no idea the size of the grant that they've been given, but I have been told reliable that it was tiny. Yeah, not that in any way, shape, or form matters. It's just I don't want the community to think that these guys were given, I don't know, 50 grand or something silly. They weren't. Yeah, they were given a very small grant, and it definitely had milestones on it. All grants do. And the reason why it takes so long to get the grants is that because there are milestones, there are all sorts of legal documents that are being signed in that connection. It's a little bit like getting water out of a stone, because it has to be legally airtight when we do these things. So they definitely, as far as we're concerned, as far as we've been informed, they were not given a huge grant by anyone's imagination. So absolute. But I look forward, and I really do hope that they want to come on air and clear this up, because otherwise it walks, talks, smells like a rock pool. Yeah, and I can't fix that for them. You can't fix that for them. Yeah, only they can fix that for themselves.
We're trying to help them fix it.
Yeah, no, and we've
giving them everything we
out
can
to them, and I know we're getting a little bit hard on them now in our tone, and this is completely by design, because they're mocking us about. They should have come on a long time ago and cleared this up. Yeah, if you haven't done anything wrong, you got nothing to worry about. Come and explain.
All right, so let's hope. I mean, I will. If they do come on, if somebody forwards this to them and they see this, that would be great. I'm not gonna, go after them in a stream. I'm gonna give them a chance to tell us what happened and let the community decide what happened. But right now, It doesn't look good, guys. And so yeah, let's put a pin in that because it's negative and I don't like it. Because what we have coming with this EMA, I think, is like one of the biggest, most significant, exciting events as a community initiative that we've ever had. So aside from what's happening in the Middle East, I think this is like going to turn a page for us, and then we can move to look forward. I'm going to apologize right now to the commenters because I can see the list. I've shared the list now on the screen there, as you guys can see, but where I get the comments coming in on my screen, it aggregates from everywhere and it's completely shuffled. So I don't have a good chronological order here, but I'm going to try to go back to them as I see fit. And some of them I'm not, Paul, because that was a dumb comment, but thanks. Yeah. So here's a good question from Ziga, and thank you for always sticking around, man. What do you think about the ABC program, content creators, ambassador program, etc.? Okay, so one thing I will say is, because I did sit on the creators program board, is that the creators program has been shut down now because it is, and this, like, I don't know if this is being officially communicated, but it is kind of going to be working in tandem with stay.coti.io now. So that kind of stuff you're going to be seeing from the stay.coti.io side. The ambassador program, I will say, like you guys know, the last communicated, update of applications was over 700. And I know that Vlad had been, until recently, if not still, combing through those. They're taking this very, very seriously. They have a very, Soren knows, they have a very ambitious plan for that. And I think we kind of hinted at that, but they want to have boots on the ground. Basically, they want to have representation. We mean everywhere. So that's one of the things they're looking for. They're looking for languages and geolocation. So it's not that there has been no words on it, Ziga. It's that the creators program, there's been very few words on it. You're right. They kind of revamped the process a few months ago, and then yes, it's been shut down and moved to stay.coti.io. So that's that. The ambassador program, I don't know when we're going to be expecting to announce more names or anything, but it is still very much active in the background.
No, absolutely, and it's being Tracer, it's being built very slowly on purpose, because this needs to be effective, and it needs to be there for a long time. And it's not just a question of appointing 10, 15 ambassadors and that's it, done. If it was as simple as that, great, we could have done it a long time ago. But you got to have all these ambassadors. There are legal agreements, there are NDAs, and then you got to have these ambassadors go out and start to do business development. That's part of the ambassador remit, is to do business development. And then when they start to do business development and bring in interested projects, and then they got to interview them, and so there's a whole ripple effect that when you put in an ambassador, there's a whole bunch of things that happens after that. And Vlad and Ship and Joshua alone, if we were to hire another 15 ambassadors tomorrow, there's not enough people to look after what happens next. Yeah, it's not an issue in itself to put another 15 ambassadors in. It's an issue what happens next, and that's why it's been built very slowly, and it's totally on purpose, because it's actually a much bigger machine, and we can see it. We're what, a handful of ambassadors now, and there's a lot of work being generated. They need to feed us leads. We need to feed back, and what happens with this meeting and that, and there's a long funneling process for every single project. It's not just one conversation. Yes, no. You want to build on COTI, you don't want to build on COTI. I'm learning as well. There's a lot more to it than that. So that's pretty much the answer to that. Don't worry, it's there, and it's growing. You can see the stay.coti.io with a CrossMint edition this week, definitely. And I remember, and I don't think there's an issue in saying this out loud. Joshua actually said it from day one. I think he probably said it publicly as well. He wasn't actually expecting the live streams. He said, I don't mind if they run with no people for the next 3 or 4 months while I build this. I want to have them there so that if once we start to get traction, it's all there for them. We don't have to get traction and then start building on top of the traction. I want to have everything built, and then people start coming in. If we have 3 or 4 months with nobody tuning into it, fine. We'll do it for no people, no listeners, if that's what it takes. So there is a whole plan behind this, and I know people are getting a little bit impatient with this, but please be a little bit more patient. It is being worked on, and we want it to be much bigger than what it is now, because it's a huge force for COTI's development.
I think one of the other reasons is that when we were onboarded as ambassadors, they already had such a huge pipeline that they needed to go through. And part of the process, and it kind of leads into what we were talking about a little bit earlier, but part of this process is making sure that you have people who are actually coming here to build and continue building on COTI, and not just port over existing contracts or not make their milestones and then disappear, right? So I think that, the onboarding process is super labor intensive, and because of garbled circuits being such, a boutique product, that, you kind of need these higher level guys from the ecosystem to handle some of these meetings. So it's a slow and tedious process bringing new people into the pipeline. So I think, it's a combination of a lot of different things, but we talked a little bit about ecosystem dollars today, but I mean, as the people who are heading up this BD initiative, they have to be very careful and do their due diligence when they're handing out ecosystem dollars. So I think it's just a combination of those things. I don't know what you think about that, Soren, but that's just...
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And this is one of the things, I've been very impressed with. We got an ecosystem fund with millions of dollars subject to whatever the COTI token price is. Yeah, but COTI are not running around spending this money like drunken sailors at all. They are being super, super, super careful. Yeah. Possibly a bit too careful until they get a little bit more familiar themselves with the process. They're probably being a little bit too careful with it, but I'd rather be too careful than having a situation where we had, for example, handed out $10,000 or $15,000 of community or project money to a project that ends up rocking us all.
Yeah. Give us a reason not to call it that is what I'm hoping for. Because like I said, it's fine. It's fine if the EMA didn't fit your marketing plans month and a half ago before this happened. But now, like, you got to come talk to us, because
absolutely. We got any other? I can't see the chat. We got any other questions? Any good ones?
Do you believe that there's such, the saying, there are no stupid questions? Do you believe that statement is accurate or not?
That's a gotcha question. I'm not going to answer that.
I think there are some stupid questions sometimes.
I think so. But they're very few and far between.
Yeah. No, I think in terms of questions, I think we hit them. If you guys have one that didn't get answered, you have like 2 minutes to repose it.
Yeah, fire away.
Not that we can answer them all, but we're really good at talking about it and then glancing the question. There's stupid questions. There is absolutely stupid questions. Oh, man. Well, I would have hoped that we would have had some speakers today. I thought for sure we were going to, considering I know that people like it when the community knows that the questions being asked are their questions. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. Any parting thoughts from you, Soren?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, No, not really today. I'm watching the situation unfold in the Middle East, and as we said a couple of times now, thoughts and prayers with the people there. I hope it all gets resolved very, very quickly. And until then, we just keep building. If you guys have any questions, especially when you have questions about treasury, and actually don't ask me too much about bridging because I'm not very good at it. I've been learning a little bit this week because I need to know about this also. But when you have questions about how to move around in the COTI ecosystem, come hit us up. Find Tracer, find me, find Unity, find someone. Just come and hit us up, and we'll talk you through it. I've been jumping in and out and round and about the community on the ecosystem. It's super, super easy once you've done it once. It's always difficult the first time, but once you've done it, it's actually super convenient and super easy. But come and talk to us when you have issues. That's part of why we're here, is to help and to educate and to be useful. So I'll let you get the final word today, Tracer.
I want to thank everybody for being with us, as always, on this Sunday afternoon for me, evening for you, and other times from everybody coast to coast and around the world. Thank you for being here. And as we sign off, our thoughts are with everybody who's affected by what's going on in the Middle East. And we hope for a quick resolution to this and get back to our regularly scheduled programming. But that's it from us. Thank you for being here. Take care of one another. We'll see you in a week.
Peace out. Stay COTI.
Cotive youth two's orbit in endless light. Silent power in the digital sea. Privacy roaring for you and me. A revolution bound by the key. Garbled circuits set our minds